there is a, let's say, a boutique, get more people in, more runs in the seats, what's going to be the next thing? High frame rate.
Well, I think 3D isn't necessarily dead. I like to say there's a new crop of 9-year-olds every year.
I'm not saying it's dead. I mean, we settled at around 42.
Yeah. High frame rate. I was sitting in a normal theater seat for the Hobbit. That was one of the ones that my son wanted to go to, and I had a technical interest in it as well. I think that once filmmakers get their hands around the look of high frame rate, I think it actually has an opportunity to make a movie-going experience that's much different than what we've experienced so far. It's unfortunate that the cost of making that more widely available will continue to affect the industry for a little bit of time, but I really think that there is a new opportunity for an immersive experience there.
Jim, high frame rate?
Again, you have a situation, how do you monetize it? At the end of the day, it is our monetary benefit. The concern that we have is very simply, we would like to see a resolution to be blunt, not to be redundant, the spatial resolution level. Are we 2K, are we 4K, what are we doing? A couple of weeks ago I saw an interesting presentation where the speaker announced that 4K was only beneficial to the first few rows of seats in the theater, which when I turn that around as a customer to the theater operator, I'm being told my first few rows in the theater are the worst seats in the house. And I fall back to when you and I have known each other for a long time. We ran a lot of 70mm, and the reason we did it is because it put a hell of a picture on the screen, and people reacted to that. And we, from our seat, would like to see a resolution at this point. Once we go to a higher spatial resolution, we can do a number of things. We can do high frame rate, we can do anything. Screens are going to get bigger again, which is very good. The public resoundingly responds to that. The key is not driving the monetary as far as the ticket price. Let's just put more bums in the seats.
It's interesting that you mentioned 70mm because newspaper advertising would carry 70mm as a major feature, this screen versus that screen, and the public reacted to it.
Absolutely.
I haven't seen, I don't think, any significant number of theaters advertising 4K as a feature.
We also haven't seen distribution or production do it either.
Yeah. Well,
And that used to be a big piece of co-op advertising.
Will, have you experienced a high frame rate?
Yes, I have experienced high frame rate, and no, I could not charge more for a ticket. That was the final decision on that. I just saw it and said, no, can't do it. When the Real Deep program of Chicken Little came out with the Disney family, we all jumped on that because we saw an opportunity that we could have a premium price in a wonderful experience. Rock steady picture because of the digital projector. That's good, and there's more of that going on, and there should be more of that going on. And we built theaters, a normal 10-plex, at least 3 of the screens would be equipped for 3D. The digital platform also allows you to add motion chairs, which we do in our theaters. We use D-Box motion chairs. And we were surprised that we could also add a premium price and not affect customer satisfaction, actually increase customer satisfaction. And our occupancy rates on our D-Box chairs were sometimes double, and in certain cases triple what our normal occupancy rate was for that particular auditorium. Very happy with the program. We need more of that. High frame rate, okay, if you want to do it, fine. But I got to tell you, when it was announced, we had just had an international NATO meeting, and I was looking at all my Series 1 projectors and being told you can't use them. That's pretty difficult to say. You just converted to digital. You have a bunch of Series 1 projectors in your theaters, and you're being told high frame rate cannot be used on those projectors. And then the Series 2s that I had, some of them didn't have the IBM. Is that it? Yeah. And that was another $6,000 or $8,000 to set that up.
How many years of life did you get out of a 35mm projector?
I had one, I mean, older than I am. 35mm projector? Yeah. I mean, I know some are 60, 70, 80 years old, they're still running.
How many years of life do you expect out of a Series 2 projector?
Well, they're warranted for 10 years, we'll see. Nobody has any experience whatsoever how they're going to last.
Paul, from a production point of view, how much high frame rate do you imagine coming out of the industry?
It'll be actually really interesting for me to see as well. You know, kind of go back to the story of the comfortable chair thing. I mean, certainly what drives us and what we make movies is about having the right story. And, you know, there's an old, you know, Tim's pointed out monetizing things, there's an old quote from Walt that I use a lot, maybe a paraphrase of it, which is, if you take care of the quality, the money will come. So if you take care of the quality, the money will come, and the money will follow. If we look at high frame rates, you know, it's like all of these things. It's all the opportunities that we have in digital. They're tools that we give the filmmakers to use their brilliance and creativity, give audiences an experience that makes them love what they see in the theater. And I think certainly there are filmmakers involved and interested in high frame rates who I would never bet against. They seem to always do it really well and really right. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of opportunities. High frame rates isn't anything that I'm particularly focused on as being interesting, but I think other people will probably make my genre, and I look forward to that.
John, I want to quickly go back to the obsolescence of Series 1. The Series 1 projectors won't display a 4K picture either, so if your goal is increased spatial resolution, you're still buying that equipment. And to really get the best out of 4K, the 250 megabit rate really isn't enough. And so a higher bit rate delivery that the high frame rate pipeline allows also allows a higher bit rate to deliver actual 4K resolution, even to standard frames in the theater. So this general trend toward a wider pipeline helps both the quest for spatial resolution as it simultaneously helps temporal resolution.
Jill, how is high frame rate in Europe?
Yeah, we had an interesting experience in Germany. We started to propose the high frame rate upgrade solutions to our customers in February last year to be ready in time for The Hobbit, to use it how it will be in high frame rate. And really nobody reacted. They know there will be one movie, so there was no real interest. And then, in 1 month before the release, there was one major exhibitor doing massive advertising, high frame rate theater, and then it was just a hype, and we were not able to get the products in time. So this is really showing that it's about marketing. How you market technology. And there I think a lot of things to do, I think, from the exhibitors to be aware that every investment that you are doing, you have to tell the story, you have to bring it to the customer, you have to explain it to the customer. And the experience in Europe with the customers who are doing that, getting more money out of it because they take €1 more. But it's that's still a learning curve, I think, to take really advantage of the potential of the technology by telling a story.
Any premium charges?
Yes, a lot of customers took more, €1 more for high frame rate theaters. We see this again now with new sound systems. So we did about 10 systems, Dolby Atmos and Micro Hour in Europe, and most of the customers taking some more money for it. And another trend is that the mix of new technologies, high frame rate, D-Box motion seats, and Dolby Atmos or Micro Hour. And if you market then your auditorium as a VIP, or at least a special experience auditorium, and you find perhaps even a name to put on this kind of experience, some of our customers really did very good with that concept.
When I think back to my experience in this industry, which goes back quite a few years, in previous introductions of new sound formats, and it was extremely rare for premium charge. The basis of what made it attractive to the theatre owner to install the equipment was that he would get better attendance than the guy down the road who didn't have it. And that seems to have changed nowadays. The idea of just getting more bums on seats doesn't seem enough in terms of an income attractor for the theatre owner. And now we're talking more about premium charging. But I tend to think that the premium charge may make it for a short-term explosion like a Roman candle which floats out. What's your view as theatre owners in terms of that? Didn't like that question.
No, it's an excellent question. It's an excellent question. And I'm going to take a little time on this. I'm going to back up the comment about 35 millimeter, and it ran all the time. We had a single format. But to the other side, we have a unique opportunity here if we create the pipe large enough. And that's our argument is make the pipe big enough. Then we can do higher frame rate. We can do anything we want, but we need to standardize the pipe size to do that. Attendance in the U.S. is flat or declining. Part of that is driven by content, part of that is driven by the experience. But the other piece of it is we're confusing the public. We have not had a standardized marketing push on what we're really doing. We spent a tremendous amount of money creating a much better experience for the public, no scratch prints, no operator errors for the most part. We need to put more bums in the seats. Is that through premium pricing? To me, that's an effective way to take people out of the seats and push them into another environment. I prefer to drive people into theaters, grow the audience from the standpoint of when they're young, make them movie-going fans.
Miller, how about this?
How many times have you talked to someone that's not in the business about a title, and you say, this film is coming out next Friday, and the guy says to you, or the girl says to you, oh yeah, I know about it, I'm going to wait until it comes on Netflix. How many times have we heard that? And what drives that is convenience, cost. I can see it when I want it. Theater owners have a fixed program schedule. And so when I want it, which is the kids today in college, you know, they're studying, and at 3 o'clock in the morning they binge watch shows. That's their psyche, that's what they do. So to get them to come to our room, it has to be uniquely different than what they're experiencing at home. We've always said that. 3D consistently does that, consistently. And the more films are shot on 3D and alternate content is shot on 3D, the more we have in the pipe that we can use. I do think the distribution release schedule model needs to change. I do think that for the most part, in week 3 or week 4, that it's a 6-day week, not a 7-day week, so that we can get that extra day purely for alternate content and create the habit that in this theater, every Wednesday, you can count on something uniquely different. Not affecting the weekend standard ways of distributing and selling tickets. We have to change. Everything else is changing around us. Yes, the technology is changing, but how best to use it? And in some cases, we don't know how to use it.
How was it that 30 years ago, a film would run for 6, 9 weeks, even in some cases 6 months? And today, 3 to 4 weeks is a reasonable run. What caused that?
Well, we built across the street from everyone. Okay, so the pie is just so big, and we just sliced it all up with all of our theaters. That's one that shortens the runtime. The Megaplex, the Dallas AMC, 24. 6 of those screens were playing the one title. So we just soaked the revenue out in the first week. Great for the film studios because they got the higher film rental. The longer we keep a film, the better it is for exhibition. Always been that way. Always. But that's the way it is now. These buildings are huge.
I'm going to put Paul on the spot here. How short is the window going to get? 5 years' time before VOD?
I don't think there's really something that I should guess about.
Going to be 2 dB shorter than it is today.